Hello everyone, welcome to Explore Self MBA Mindset Business Academy. My name is Alexander and I welcome you to another episode of Wisdom and Knowledge for Business and Life. And the first question is, what's the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Because today we'll learn about 5 principles that can help you to change your mindset, to change your life, and get what you want faster. The point of all these 5 principles is to awake your imagination and to help you to detach a little bit from everything you have, which is not according to what you want, so that you can see everywhere where you're biased, where you haven't taken care of yourself, you haven't taken care of these 5 channels which are feeding your subconscious, so that you can start seeing what is happening inside yourself, and you to start to take care of that. So then you can start changing and making the changes that are needed to be made in order to change the reality in which you live, the physical reality which you think is real, but it's just a reflection of who you are, of who I am, of who we believe we think we are, and especially of the words that we use. So what is a principle and what's the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Let's answer first these 2 questions, after which we'll start learning about these 5 principles which I've got from all the experience that I've got with my clients, thousands of hours of coaching, helping others, and mostly the experience that I've got from the worst client I ever had and still have. Are you ready to come in? Hey, are you ready to join us? Hello, that's me. So, when we reflect upon what we do and we do not lose our hope, we do not lose our enthusiasm, and we keep trying, we keep attempting to achieve what we want, to learn so much, and especially when we implement what we've learned, that becomes wisdom. So we're almost answering the first question. What's the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Well, knowledge is an information that you have fully grasped or understood, so that it becomes knowledge. We know that. If we apply it and we figure it out, if it works for us, is it useful for us or not? Because there is so much amazing information, but not all information is good for us. But if we apply it and we can surely say this is working for me or not in time, then it becomes wisdom. Now you say, what was the principle? A principle is something between a law and a belief. A belief is just a personal conviction we have, but we haven't tested it yet, where we apply it unknowingly. And unknowingly, we think we're free in our choices, we think we're free in our endeavors, but actually there is a belief beneath our feelings, beneath our thoughts, beneath our emotions, and all this chain is influenced by that belief. Now, a belief sometimes is unconscious. And that's not the best scenario. If we have an unconscious belief that's mostly, and its function is similar to a principle, but a principle is a belief formed consciously. So you apply one belief, then you change your belief, you try something else until you find an answer. And when you test it once and 2 and 3 and 4 and 100 and 200 times, then it becomes a principle. So you know it works. And that's an amazing situation when you know what to do and you know it works, where you know what doesn't work. And that's a principle. So in today's video, I'll try to share with you from my experience, from my wisdom, from my work, the most often principles that are ignored or they're just unknown to people that are great, with great potential. They have so much in them, but because it's not directed well, because these principles are not formed, then all this energy, all this potential is going on all the ways, and the person, the individual, can't get there where they want, so they cannot close this loop, this cycle of trying, attempting again and again, reforming, readjusting, reapplying, then getting the result, getting the lesson learned, improving their emotional challenges, improving their thinking, improving their mindset. Then the lesson is learned, it's ready, re-implemented again in the new cycle. So if we don't close these cycles from the knowledge, from the idea to where the thing is done, then we never form principles, personal principles. which is not a universal law. It's not a somebody else's principle. It's just our principle. Now, the nature has its own principles. Physics has principles. Mathematics has principles. There are so many principles in business and life, but a law is something different. A law is there and never changes. So, what are these 5 principles that I want to share with you today that if you are going to extract something that is applicable to your situation and you're going to use the principle, then probably what you will get is something different than what I'm going to share with you. But the principle is so amazing that helps us to figure out, to understand, to grasp the wisdom from our experiences, from our failures, from our victories, from the past. So allow us to change the way we think and believe. Because if we think that a principle is there and never changes, then we form our beliefs according to that principle. So we talked in the beginning how the importance of the belief, and if the belief is formed in a way or another, it influences the whole chain of feelings, thoughts, and emotions. But even more dangerous, or sometimes fortunately, depends if the principle is formed consciously or not. But let's pick up the first scenario. If the principle is wrong or is unknown, then our beliefs are all over the place. We believe something, then we believe something else because we don't know the principle. So let's figure out today what are these 5 principles that once changed, the whole life changes, and the whole chain from the principle to the belief to the emotions, the feeling, and to the physical reality changes much faster. Or let's put it the way it is. If we don't make this implementation, if we do not apply these changes, then probably it never change. And we find ourselves in a situation or another, in the same situation again and again, again and again, again and again, and we start to lose our hope, our faith. We start to believe that we're not enough, where the world is wrong, and everything is just made not for us, and we don't deserve what we want, because to know what you want and to have a strong desire is very important, but that's the second principle, and we'll talk just in a second. So, what is the first principle? The first one is observe the universal laws to form personal principles. Observe the universal laws, so therefore you can form your personal principles. What does this mean? That means that if your principles are formed from the beliefs, from your emotions, that's not a principle, that's not a wise principle. A principle is formed from the universal law that you have taken into consideration. You watch, you observe it, you applied it, so then you form the principle. So let's put it simply, the law should be the mother of the principle and not otherwise. We cannot form laws according to our principles. I have a principle, so therefore the law should function according to my principle. That's not a way of navigating into the adulthood, right? So how do we get to this and what this specifically means? I'm going to share with you a text from Matthew chapter 5, verse 25. I'm going to read 2 translations because one, it's too complicated. Otherwise, a little bit simpler, but it helps us to get an idea. So what it says, agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Truly I say to you, you will not come out of there until you have paid up the last cent. So that's an interesting story. And you say, what does this have in common with what we're talking about the laws and about the principles? So according to this text, we have the judge, which represents the law. Then you have your opponent. Then there is you. And this text tells us, make friends quickly with your opponent at law while you are with him on the way, so that your opponent may not hand you over to the judge and the judge to the officer and you be thrown into prison. Make friends quickly. Now, who's the opponent? Well, if you look backward in your life, you might realize how many times we think that everything goes against us. the rules, the laws, the success, everything we want to achieve, the friendship, the relationships. We sometimes reach a moment in our lives when we start thinking that everything is against us and it's not there to help us to succeed, but everything you try just goes in 1,000 pieces and you're wondering, why is this happening to me? Well, probably haven't gone through a period like this. Probably you've been there, or probably you are there. So let's get focused and understand what does that mean and what to do. When we think that everything that is there goes against us, we perceive the circumstances or the environment as our opponent. And the word says, make friends quickly. Because if you don't make friends quickly, if you go against these opponents which are around you, you are going to learn it the hard way. What does it mean? That you will learn it. You'll get your sentence. But it will cost you everything. So sometimes, if I look backward in my life, I see that some lessons I've attended the class where I should have learned the lesson. I've attended it maybe 1,000 times. The same class again and again and again and again, because I was not quick at making friends with the opponent, because we perceive that as our opponent. But everything that is around us, that forces us to challenges us and forces us to reflect, to think, to question our belief, to go through some healthy self-doubt. Or let's put it more correctly, true doubt, not self-doubt. Never doubt the self. Self is always there. Self, that's another video for another conversation. So the environment is tailored exactly according to what we need. The challenges around us are exactly those challenges that we need in order to reflect, go within, what principles do I have in my life? What beliefs do I have? Why am I so convinced about something that forces me to feel in a certain way, to act in a certain way, to behave in a certain way, to have those emotions, to process those specific type of kind of thoughts because of that belief. And I've been there for so many times, and definitely I am, and I will definitely be. But what we also can is to make friends quickly with your opponent of law. So there is the law. Now, what's the law? It's a very wide topic, so we're not going to go too deep into that. But there are spiritual laws and there are physical laws. There is a law. For example, if you look at for example, if we talk about physical laws, there are cycles during the year, right? We have the winter, we have the summer. So there is a law that if there is not the right temperature for something, then something else is not going to grow. So we have these physical laws. For example, it's cold outside and you're not wearing the right clothes and it's cold. So it's a physical law which you have to take into consideration. Winter comes. What am I going to do? How do I prepare? What should I do now? Not in order to worry about the winter, but what can I do now according to the cycle I am now, according to the summer I'm going through, so that when the winter comes, I'm ready. So it's already a very interesting thought here to do everything we can now, so that helps us to eliminate the worry that might stop us from doing what we are supposed and we already can do now. And if the worry stops us from doing what we can do now, then the winter comes and we are in an even worse situation. So back to the laws. There are universal law, there are spiritual laws, and there are physical laws. For example, a spiritual law is, if you read in the Genesis in the beginning, we have the first indication, be fruitful. Many other things. The first one, be fruitful. Well, what is a fruit? That's a metaphorical expression. Like, how can you be fruitful? Yes, somehow we can understand it, but still a little bit, I'm not going to have fruits on my shoulders, right? So what does it mean to be fruitful? Fruitful means that if there is a fruit, where's the seed? The seed is inside. And if the seed is inside, therefore, if the seed needs to grow, become a tree, the seed needs to go into soil. So therefore, a tree can come alive. So it means that the fruit should die, must be eaten, or it will just fall on the ground. And the beautiful fruit that we so like and love about ourselves when we are in the first stages of our lives, we're so like, I'm so like this, I'm so like that. The world should just do everything I want because I'm so amazing. Well, that needs to go away at its right time. Do not force it. We have in the Proverbs, do not force that process. But when that goes away, then the seed goes into the soil, falls in the soil, and then the seed will become a tree. So that is a spiritual law. What is around and it's nice and it's beautiful, it's temporary, needs to be let go. So therefore the seed can flourish and can grow and become a tree. That's a spiritual law. So there are many other laws. Now, I'm not going to go through all these laws, but we have to stop from working so much sometimes, from thinking so much, just processing the same thoughts again and again, from feeling so much, and to observe, detach yourself a little bit from the nature, look around, look at other people, read some literature about, ask someone to help you that has already gone through this process. Open your eyes of observation. Open your inner eyes to look around what is going on, how is my life going in the last 2 or 3 years? Because probably I don't achieve what I want to achieve, or I don't have what I already have a glimpse of what I deserve, what I believe I deserve, but somehow it's so hard to achieve it. Probably it's not the environment, probably are not those challenges, probably those challenges and the environment and the problems that you have are exactly there to help you and to help me to figure out what principles do I have in my bag that I'm holding with myself, and I close them, I keep them so near and dear to myself as the fruit that we talked before, so we don't allow the seed to fall into the ground and to become a tree, because we want to protect the apple or the fruit, whatever the fruit is, we want to protect it for so long because it looks so good. It's so tasteful. Well, give it away if you want to reach the seeds, if you want to become a tree, so therefore you can become fruitful. So we have to pay attention. What are the laws? What are the physical laws? And what are the spiritual laws around us? So then we can form new personal principles. For example, Buddha put it amazingly. You will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. So sometimes happens that, and very often, and sometimes for a long period of time, that we focus so much on the environment and on the problems that we have around ourselves, and the problems that we create, or they're created by our past choices that led to the current situation. And we go through anger and we start the long suffering process, which sometimes we start to believe that suffering is growing. But that's a little bit different. Growth hurts because it's painful, not because you have to live in suffering. That's something different than just experiencing pain. Pain is a transformation, is letting go something. The ego doesn't want you to let go something that gives reassurance to your mind. So your mind is so calm and sure that everything's going to work. Then things don't work out the way we wanted, but we don't want to give up the principle that we formed through our ego. So that is exactly what it means to pay attention to also your internal laws. You as a human being, you know you have the emotions, you know you have the mind. Hey, how does my mind works? What are the emotions? By the way, about the emotions, Emotional Intelligence, a great book if you want to learn more about emotional intelligence. So rather than constantly blaming things that are around us that are not working and constantly believing more what we used to believe that's not leading towards where we want to get, what about we look inward and we start to open ourselves for the spiritual laws that are there available for us only if we look them, only if we seek them, only if we allow ourselves to be open for those laws. So who is your opponent? So here we close the first principle. Whoever whatever you think goes against you or is there to stop you, is there to destroy what you have, is a lamp, is a light bulb that is calling you and is saying, hey, buddy, what about you stop a little bit? What about you reflect a little bit? If that's repeating constantly again and again in the same situation. So whoever is your opponent, that's not your opponent. That's your friend. Whoever you think is against you, whatever problem you have that's repeating itself, and you think that the universe has something against you and wants to destroy your path and wants to destroy your potential. No. These are your friends. As the text goes, Matthew 5:25, make friends quickly with your opponent at law while you are with him on the way. So therefore, while you're on the way, so therefore you don't reach when you're in your 80s or 90s when you hardly can do change, you're very slow at everything because you will learn the lesson. But as the 26 says, truly I say to you, you will not come out of there until you have paid up the last cent. So if you don't want to get to the last cent and learn these lessons the hard way, and if you think that you deserve more and you feel you deserve more, but something doesn't go your way, open your wisdom eye towards the laws, the spiritual laws and the physical laws. So therefore you can take them in consideration before you change your mind, before you form another belief or another principle. So this is the principle number 1. Use and observe, watch universal laws to form principle beliefs. So then we do not wander into the darkness, building more darkness, and as a blind leading another blind, they both go into the hole. They fall down because they both are blind. So what about we ask ourselves, who is my opponent? And befriend that opponent. Figure out the law that stands behind that opponent. Otherwise, you'll learn the hard way, and that's not wise. All right. Figure out your opponent. Write it down. Reflect about it. Now, the second principle. Do not despise the desire. The desire is the form of the essence. It's a hard one. Do not despise the desire. I can tell you that sometimes we're not even aware of the fact that we hate our desires. Some of us are too focused on the desire. Some of us despise the desires. Some of us, I remember myself, I felt for so long uncomfortable for wanting what I want. I feel that wanting what I want is too selfish. I gotta want something more noble. I gotta want something that's going to change the world. I want something that is so noble that when I share it with someone, the earth just shakes. I'm exaggerating, but probably you get what I mean. If that's your situation, then you definitely get what I mean. We sometimes are afraid to want what you really want. Or we're blind to it and we choose some desires, because we think that desire is more achievable. That desire just sounds better. That desire just makes more sense. But what I really want, I know what I really want, but that's a little bit too hard. I'm not gonna want what I really want. Why should I do that? That's not good enough. I gotta want something wow. Therefore, I will be wow. But happiness and success doesn't really work this way. You can look around. We talked about the laws around you and the universal, spiritual, and physical laws. And you see that you're not full of fire and you're not in alignment with who you are. You cannot just get that momentum, that drive when you're not really wanting what you really want. So if you wish for yourself to be more driven, to have more passion, to be more full of life, to be exploding of life, you want to feel your veins full of passion and drive of doing and achieving, doing great and improving, going through challenges and enjoying the power, the happiness of the achievement, and also going through the grief of the losses and failures. If you want to experience that life, you gotta start wanting what you really want. That's so important. I remember had a conversation with one of my clients, and was something similar to a problem that I had in my life, or a problem where I believe that I had in my life, that where there is so much bad in the world and there are people that are suffering so much, how can I allow myself to want what I really want? Well, you will know the answer, or probably already now know the answer while you're watching this video, when you start to look within. And when you start taking care of yourself, not only of your mind and your emotions, but of yourself, and you put yourself first, doesn't mean you put your whole existence above everyone's needs and wants. We're not talking about narcissistic disorder. We talk about putting the self in front, then the mind, then the body, then the feelings and the emotions around, then the shadow, and everything else. The self, and that's a little bit different. Probably if you don't have a basic knowledge about self-discovery, what's the self, what's the ego, what's the persona, what's the shadow, then probably might feel a little bit confused here. So I have many other videos on Explore Self MBA here on YouTube, so we can find more about the self, more about your self structure, your self concept. So what is that inner dimension, inner room that we have within? So when you start taking care of yourself, you can start realizing how much good you are already doing to the world and to yourself as well. You start realizing how much you prevent others being hurt by your ignorance. And that's a hard pill to swallow, I know that. But when we start taking about our beliefs, when we start taking care about our inner health, we start lighting like a fire around ourselves. And the world has so much to gain from it. And the first you are about to gain from it, you're going to be so much blessed when you start taking care of your inner self. So my invitation to you is start looking at this. If you have this belief that I gotta want something that's more noble, something that helps the world, that alleviates the pain in the world, well, you will do that. But the beginning is to start taking care of yourself. So my invitation for you is start looking within. Start looking and watching yourself, and start studying some universal laws, the spiritual laws, the physical laws. Start looking around. So take a look from this perspective at your desires. Your soul is represented by your desires. So the soul cannot have a form, a physical form in this world. So the essence is inside, the desire is around. So the desire is already a little bit selfish, and sometimes very selfish, but not in a bad way. What does that mean? That in order to allow the seed to grow, to go into the soil and to grow and become a tree, you need the physical things around the seed. The seed has its code, its DNA, its genomes inside, okay? But you need the soil, you need the water, you need the sun, you need the coolness, you need the darkness. You need all these cycles that are going to allow the seed to flourish and to grow. The desire, it's what allow yourself to flourish. Without the desire, you are killing your inner self. That's very, very, very extremely important. Both scenarios. For those who say that, but what about if I don't know what I want? What about if I know what I want, but it's too big? What if I know what I want, but that's so selfish? Oh my gosh, I'm ashamed to say what I really want. What about if what I want is nothing for me inside of this desire? Like I want to have also something in it, but it's all about the world, it's about good and everything else, but there's nothing about me, and I kind of start working, but then I lose the passion. Well, whatever is your situation, realize the fact that your inner light can be expressed or can take form in a physical reality, in the physical world, through your desires. So therefore, the ego a little bit just helps you to keep going, a little bit of ego, more of the mind, sometimes the emotions, because emotions are very powerful. They can penetrate the mind and go directly into the subconscious. So let's not demonize the emotions, but it's another conversation. So everything around which is in your head, in your space, in your body, can help the self to realize and to flourish and to manifest. And for that, you have the vessel, the form of the essence, which is the desire. I want to share with you a text that Carl Jung shares about the desires. He says, selfish desire ultimately desires itself. You find yourself in your desire, so do not say that desire is vain. If you desire yourself, you produce the divine Son in your embrace with yourself. And what does it mean? And we can also observe in our lives that at the first, when you start focusing on yourself, you feel this detachment from everyone else, and you feel a little bit of, how can I desire this? Is too much, or is too hard, or is just too selfish. But then actually you will start producing fruits that are going to be for all the people around you, as a tree produces fruits for everyone that passes by. So this is the second principle. Do not despise the desire. The desire is the form of the essence. Allow your desire to form properly. Here's another thing, that sometimes we allow the desire to stay there for too long, and then we start to alienate the desire from ourselves, or ourselves from the desire. And everyone should know their timing. And there's another context when the desire just gotta just showed itself quickly, and the person takes it and start to put the mind around it, and it start to form it, and it start to force this growth. And it's not natural. So everyone should know their timing. How much should I allow myself to form around the desire? How much time do I need to reflect and see if this is not a byproduct of my mind, of my ego, and if this is a true inner soul, self-aligned desire? So that's another conversation for another day, but you want to also pay attention to this as well. Do not despise your desire. The desire is the form of the essence. Okay, it's the vessel that helps you to become more of who you are. The third principle, treat your body as a temple. That's amazing. Treat your body as a temple. Why is this principle so important? So that we can find and discover what are our beliefs that are holding us stuck and blocked where we are, and don't allow ourselves to become who we want to become. As the title goes, to help you to achieve what you want faster. Well, the body is the window into everything else, is the window of your soul into the world, and is a reflection of the world that helps you to process the environment. And the body is going to filter so much out or too much in if we are not aware of what the body can do. If you allow your body to be exposed to all the things around that are not serving yourself, not yourself, you as a mind, because most of the people live their lives as the mind, or they feel their identity as a mind or as emotions, and one is great and the other is good, but that's not the essence of who you are. These are satellitary systems that are helping you to become who you really are, to manifest in this world who you really are, what you're full of, and you're full of gifts, and you're extremely talented. Only if you can put your emotions and your mind a little bit aside and let the self to express and you can see what is there. So we have to take care of the mind, of the emotions, of what we see, of what we touch, of what we talk, of what we speak, and what do we listen. A very important aspect here is this, that your subconscious mind is always there listening and registering everything you do, everything you believe, everything you feel, and everything you say. And whatever the words are going to be, you have to realize that your subconscious is always there to record it, and is going to record. And when the crisis occur, or when a problem occur, when you have to solve something, which is a little bit of stress, a little bit of solving, so it's not just slipping in homeostasis, but when you are in action, the subconscious is going to direct your conscious. What does it mean? Whatever you put in your subconscious is exactly what is going to drive your actions, your understanding, your beliefs, your everything. The subconscious is controlling the conscious. Now, if you allow yourself to speak badly about others, about yourself, using negative words, destructive words, my dear friend, that's exactly how you're going to feel and think about yourself and others, about the problem, about the world, about everything, when you are not going to have time to think. So when the moment of the decision is going to come and you're not going to sit there, wait a second, let me allow to think a couple of hours. And you have to make decisions quickly, otherwise you're going to wait years until you make the decision. The subconscious is going to help you to make that conscious decision, which you think you're going to make it a conscious, but it's actually a decision that's made by your unconscious, which is a decision made by your subconscious through your mind. And you think that that's who you are, but that's not who you are. That's what you made yourself to be through every word and everything that you allowed yourself to listen to, because all of that went into your subconscious. So then when there is about to change your reality, when it's about to make a specific decision in your business or in your life, what's the system that you're running on? Is the subconscious. And the subconscious is going to tell you, do this. And you're like, yeah, I know what to do. I know exactly what to do. Yeah, congratulations. That's what you told you to do now, but you told yourself to make this decision. You told yourself through all those thousands of words that you used or listened to all the past months or years before. That's what you become, and that's not you. So if you struggle to see your reality different, if you struggle to make different decisions, if you're afraid of what you really want and desire, probably you filled your subconscious, and we all do that, that probably you excessively have unfilteredly, in an unfiltered manner, you've put everything you've listened, and without filtering anything, you've put everything into your subconscious, and now you find yourself in a situation that you don't really like, but you also feel forced in this angle, in the corner, so you can get out of there. And you start thinking that you're in the wrong room or the world is wrong. But actually, we haven't taken care of our body. And in this way, I mean the whole 5 channels, we haven't taken care of them. So that made us who we are. Be careful of these 5 rivers, of these 5 channels that are connecting the reality around you with your inner reality. And these are the channels. What you see, what you speak, what you talk, what you listen. What pleasures do you seek through the smells that are around, and you want to go always back into the past? So what do you touch? What things are you in touch with? I know we're probably, some of you might say that this is an exaggeration. But I started to take care extremely about the things that I do touch. What's the quality of the things that I do touch? I'll prefer to have less things, but a higher quality. More natural. Get your hands dirty. Go in the park. Lay on the ground. Get in touch with the nature. Touch a tree, my friend. Go in the park. Listen to a bird a little bit. Go back for where you came from. You are us, I would say the same, but to a certain degree, as a nature around. You are that. As I said, to a certain degree. But then we start to live in this environment where everything is synthetic, everything is just not natural, and the quality of your clothes, the quality of the things that you have around, and the quality of everything you touch, that has a huge impact on your body. It's not the most important, I would say, in my opinion, and the speech is the most powerful one. If you remember the story of the Babel Tower, when people wanted to become more powerful and they wanted to reach the heights that were not allowed for them to, what God has done for them, they masked their language. And there is a verse which says, so in this way we can stop them, otherwise who knows what they might do, what they might achieve. It's like, oh, there's a secret spilled out there. The most powerful thing you have, I would say, is your words. Your words are the creator body of everything that you're going to believe, have, think, and feel. Therefore, achieve. All right. So there's the third one. Treat your body as a temple. Let's go to the fourth one, which allows the third one to fully form, so that your purest self can overcome the mind. Take care. Number 3, take care of your body as a temple. And number 4, so therefore your pure self can overcome the mind. Because if you live in darkness, everything is dark around you. If you have a belief, if you have a conviction that something is in a way and not in another, and you attach yourself to a principle, then everything else is going to be the same way. So how this is, I would name it this way. You gotta have spiritual hygiene. Okay, so yeah, there are spiritual practices, there are spiritual dimensions, there is a spiritual life in you as in everyone else. And if you look around again, I want to I should say that in the beginning. The point of all these 5 principles is to awake your imagination and to help you to detach a little bit from everything you have, which is not according to what you want, so that you can see everywhere where you're biased, where you haven't taken care of yourself, you haven't taken care of these 5 channels which are feeding your subconscious, so that you can start seeing what is happening inside yourself, and you to start to take care of that. So then you can start changing and making the changes that are needed to be made in order to change the reality in which you live, the physical reality which you think is real, but it's just a reflection of who you are, of who I am, of who we believe we think we are, and especially of the words that we use. So what does this mean? So that our pure self can overcome the mind. If the mind is stronger than the self, if the emotions are stronger than your mind, if the mind is stronger than your emotions, it's not about good and bad. That's already a judgmental position. It's about cycles. It's about everything together, helping each other in harmony. We have the text that says, a house cannot survive if it is divided within. What it means, in order to take things out, or to think that they're wrong, or that something is wrong with you, or that you're not smart enough, or you can't learn enough, or you cannot reflect, you don't have just the skill, as very often I might listen or hear from others, probably something that you repeated to yourself, and now it's so hard to shut down the mind and to really see within and figure out, hey, who am I? What do I actually desire? What are my truest desires? So that the mind can come and help later. Not in the beginning. Not when you are about to figure out who you are and about the direction towards where you want to go. The mind is going to help you to make those steps, to rationally think and elaborate a plan. Okay, this is here, I'm gonna do this, a strategy. Okay, strategy is mind. A mission, that's not so much in the mind, that's more of who you are. So the mind comes in hand when it's about to solve problems, to make the steps, to realize the plan using a better strategy. That's the mind. I like this perspective. The mind is a great server, but a very bad master. So that's what about the number 4. Allow your pure self to be who you really are, so you can be on your path, so you can start feeling the drive and the mission and the desire and the power within in the blood of your veins, so you can start living your life at the fullest. But that sometimes is painful. Sometimes it's painful because we have to give up things that are not serving. Sometimes maintaining the hygiene of yourself inner room requires some reflection, requires some energy, requires some effort. This isn't always naturally comes. This doesn't happen naturally. Someone comes and does that for you. Here we can close the 4th principle so that your pure self can express itself through your life into this physical reality. And here I would say is that hygiene will help you to allow this tree to flourish. So sometimes people do lots of work, lots of hygiene, but they do not accept the fact that I can be who I want to be. And in order to be who you want to be is true. It's sometimes good to let our desires, put our desires aside, but sometimes we have to want that our inner self can be there and can speak to us. For that, we have to turn in, listen, shut down the mind. Good practice of meditation or just reflection is always helpful, or even better, to dive into the book of the books. There are so many wise teachings that can help you to get in touch with who you really are within, without the games of the mind and of the emotions and all the surtaki around. And the fifth principle, do what you've started to do. Do the work that you've started. Finish it. You have to finish what you start. That is extremely important, even if along the way you have already realized that I should have done it a little bit different. Most of the people, what do? Let me be wiser than I actually am. So let me go backward, let me start again, and then start again, and never finish the thing. What's the problem with this? And you would say, is there any problem with that? There is a problem with that. That you cannot enrich your subconscious unless you have a feedback from your actions. You've got to apply, you've got to do the work, even if you see that some things might have been done a little bit differently. But after you finish them, then you have completed this creation, even if it's not perfect. So then your inner wisdom can figure out, next time we won't do this, we won't do that, we will do this and we will do that. Without accomplishing the cycle of the task, you don't get to that point. You don't get to that moment. You don't get to that phase. And what that leads to is that next time when you start again and you think, I'm not going to be biased, I'm not going to make the same mistake again and again. What do you actually do? You're going to make the same mistake again and again. Why? Because you haven't fully grasped within and you haven't transformed the knowledge into the wisdom. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen and dear friends, the fifth principle of really achieving faster what you want, and in order to change the way you believe and think, and who's your opponent, I don't know. Everyone should know their opponent, and it's grateful when you know them. They sometimes are hidden, sometimes new arise, sometimes new forms, but we all do have these opponents that are helping us, that are shaping us, that are challenging us to become more of who we are. So, if we do not get things done till the end, and I see this is such an often mistake or lack or ignorance of this principle, that things needs to be accomplished. Then make it better. Accomplish, get it done the way it is, make it again, but get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 5 principles that I really consider my duty and responsibility, my pleasure and honor to share them with you. And I really wish that they help you to figure out more principles, to take out the principles that are not serving you anymore, so that you can see more of who you are, so that you can start allowing who you really are to express to what you want through the desires that you have. Do not despise them, embrace them, let them flourish, be you, be successful, be grateful, and see you in the next episode. Thank you, bye-bye.